Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? It's your favorite girl, Luscious Hadiza, and this is your favorite podcast, A Free Society. How have you been now, Omo? The streets have been rife. Like, I know that I was supposed to drop a podcast last week, but Omo, the streets have been streeting. As a lot of you that live in Nigeria, even if you don't live in Nigeria, I mean, the whole world knows that this weekend is the weekend of Nigeria's presidential elections, and the whole streets are buzzing like who's going to win. You know, the youth are so tired of the old people that keep circulating around power. They want somebody fresh, you know, somebody new, somebody who has a better ideology. And at the same time, the older people too are saying, oh yeah, these old ones, they know how the game works, blah 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 blah. So, you know, sometimes you could find yourself in the middle of everything, and it's like, where do you really stand? What does our future hold as Nigerians? And you know, we stand at the precipice of deciding a new future, deciding how the tide of our lives are going to kind of go and be affected in the next 8 years. While I'm here to definitely urge everybody that comes to listen to this podcast before the 25th of February 2022 to vote for Peter Obi, because of course, aside from the fact that yes, he is younger, he has better ideologies, we can see that he is definitely a man of the people. He's a president that has a heart. Yes, I said president. From my mouth to God's ears, he's a man that has a heart, and he's a man who, you know, would listen to people. If that's the only thing that he gives to the young people of Nigeria, is a leader who is in touch with his citizens. Because I feel like for the longest, as long as I've been alive, I don't know if I've ever witnessed a government who is 100% in touch with their people. I don't think I have seen that in my lifetime so far, and it will really be a breath of fresh air to have a president who actually can listen to his people. And I believe that if Nigerians can actually vote and Peter Obi actually does win, it shows that not only are we on the right track, it shows that mentally we are upgrading. You know, we are upgrading to a place where we actually know that we deserve better. We actually believe that we deserve better, and we are drawing it out from, you know, the universe that we have to have better, because enough of the nonsense that we've been having all of these years, enough of, you know, just pure selfishness, enough of people just doing things for their own personal gain aside from the collective gain, you know, enough of people thinking that the voices of young people don't count, or the voices of the rest of the nation don't count aside from a select few. You know, enough of living in ignorance, enough of people being used and abused in the name of a political game that benefits only just a few. So I've said all of that to say this, you know, I still believe that for a lot of us Nigerians, we have a savior complex. We tend to believe that somebody will just come and save us, which is not usually the case. At every point in time, a leader is only the reflection of the people. So even if you might have a leader that is generally unpopular and people don't seem to like him, like Buhari now, for example, the way we've had Buhari in Nigeria, and a lot of people are complaining about him. You know, his government pretty much failed in all of their responsibilities, but at the same time, that government was a reflection of the Nigerian people as a collective, of their state of mind, of their state of belief, of their actions, of their principles, of their values, of their ideologies. It's a very hard pill to swallow, because when a government comes around and starts misbehaving, people are like, oh my God, blah, 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 the government is this, the government is that. But the government came from the people. Governments don't fall from the sky. Government come from among us. So they can only be a reflection of the society of which they are a part of. So I want to just sound this as a bit of caution. I am of high hopes that Peter Obi wins, but at the same time, even if Peter Obi wins, we should not put that pressure on him of expecting him to come and save Nigeria in the snap of his fingers, because Nigerians have to save Nigeria. A president cannot come and save us. What do I mean by that? Okay, today, for example, I was going to the gym with a friend of mine. We were driving on the road, and then there was a bit of traffic, just a little traffic, not that much. Highest would have been there like 5 to 7 minutes. And then people were cutting from the back, entering into the lane of the cars coming from the opposite direction because they wanted to cut the traffic. And I'm like, you see, this behavior is the behavior that makes Nigeria stagnant. The inability for us to be patient enough just to wait that 5 to 7 minutes. Why do we have to think that we have to cut the traffic and obstruct people who are coming from the opposite direction for our own personal gain? Because I feel like, oh my God, I'm in too much of a hurry. The people on the line, obviously, they don't have sense. So let me cut the traffic and block people on the other side. But I'll get to the front and I'll get to my place faster. That mindset, that mindset is the reason this country is where it is. And it is the reason this country, until we get rid of that mindset, right? Seeing government that would serve us 100%, we will just continue to pray that government actually comes. Because the truth of the matter is, when we talk about issues of corruption, greed, selfishness, these things run deep. They run deeper than just the government. And I know that, yes, indeed, I can't blame everything 100% on Nigerians. We are still, a lot of us as a nation, not just Nigeria, Africa as a whole, we're still suffering under the legacy of colonialism and all of its effects. But at the same time, it is time for us to start to wake up to the reality of our society. What is our society now? Understand our ideologies, understand our mindset, and start to change it from that point of view. Thinking that somebody will just come. Yes, Peter Obi has amazing ideologies. Yes, he has amazing plans for the country. But Peter Obi is still not enough to save Nigerians. I'm going to say it now. So that if tomorrow Peter Obi comes and everything he's doing may not be the way that we thought it would be, Peter Obi won't snap his fingers and fuel will suddenly become 14 naira per litre. Peter Obi won't snap his fingers and then the dollar will suddenly become 150 naira to $1. But sometimes people get delusional thinking that, a government will just come and in 8 years, they will absolve Nigeria from all of its problems. Nigerians have to absolve Nigerians. And how do we start? It starts from our mindset. How do we think towards our country? Do we actually love our country? Do we respect our country? Do we respect our ideologies? Do we respect our values? Do we respect our systems in place? When you go to the airport in Nigeria, just to wait and get your passport stamped, for example, you will see people cutting the line. Why? But when this same crop of people go abroad, even if the queue is long from here, from Abuja to Lagos, they will wait that queue. Why? These are the questions, I feel like we need to start to answer for ourselves, because when we can get to the root of that, then we will understand how we can really start to demand for a change in our country. It starts from how we love our country. It starts from how we value our country. It starts from how we respect our country. It starts from the things that we say. I remember I was watching a video on YouTube recently, and the woman was saying something like she sat on the plane next to this American lady, and they got into a discussion about Africa. And the woman was like, It's funny because all of her friends that she knows in America, they who are Africans, they only have bad things to say about Africa. And she was like, America is a really shitty country, to be honest with you. But I will never say America is a shitty country outside of America. Once I am out of America, the only things I would say about America are the good things. I will only lead with the good of America. And the woman said something that, you see, the bad thing is that we Africans, we lead with the bad of Africa. You know? But then we stay speaking these words. We stay speaking these words into the universe, into the stratosphere of our nation. And then somehow we just expect everything to just be good. We just expect it to be good. We expect it to be good. Meet 10 Nigerians now today. 9 out of that 10, I can guarantee you will say, Nigeria is shit. Nigeria, blah, blah, blah. Things are not working. And look, I'm not living in La La Land. I'm not going to say that, yes, times have not been tough. Indeed, they have been. But we are literally sitting on a gold mine. This country, this continent is a gold mine. Africa is the promised land. I will say it anywhere in the world. Africa is the promised land. There is no continent in this world that has half the amount of human and material resources and natural resources that we have in Africa. So I will say it now, and I will say it, and I will continue to say it over and over and over again. Africa is the promised land. We have to learn to love our country. We need to love our country. We need to become true patriots to our country. Because the truth of the matter is, in every story of patriotism, it wasn't always perfect. It wasn't that, they just got to the land and everything was perfect. It was the love that they had for their country that drove them to the point of saying, yes, I'm going to fix this. It's like a mother and a child. Even if something is wrong with that child, the love of the mother for that child drives the mother to say, okay, how can I find solution to the problems of this child? How can I still love this child out of their problems, you know? And I feel like, yes, a lot of Nigerians actually do love Nigeria, but somehow it's like we have this love-hate relationship with our country. We just want the country to be good. And then we come back to Nigeria after jackpotting, and then Nigeria is suddenly a promised land. Let's not deceive ourselves. There is no country. I heard something on YouTube the other day. The lady said there is no country in this world that got developed that outsiders came to develop the country for the countrymen. It's not possible. If we want to develop our country, now we go do am. Now we go do am. Last. And it starts from our mindset. We have to start to think better about our country. We have to get rid of fear. Nigerians are a very, very fearful people. Even just the elections coming up now, there's been a lot of military presence, and that's because the present government is actually trying to ensure that it's a free and fair election, and I have to give that to them. Kudos to them for doing that. But still, people are spreading fear up and down the place. My mother was telling me of a WhatsApp group where they are sending people, don't be stuck up because things are going to happen, blah blah blah. And it's like Nigerians are always anticipating fear. We're always anticipating fear. If you live in a society where you're always anticipating fear, how do you expect good things to come from that society? Not like I'm not saying, yes, bad things have not happened to cause people to be in fear at times, but then we have to start to fight this fear. And it's funny how we're seemingly religious people. And when I say religious, I'm saying in parentheses, religious people indeed, but we're so fearful. We're always looking over our shoulder. When is the next kasala going to burst in Nigeria? That's a bad, terrible mindset. You know, even the Bible says it, that perfect love casts out fear. When you are perfectly in love, there is no fear in sight. This is just the little message I have for Nigerians. Regardless of who wins, we have a greater responsibility as Nigerians to start to attack our ideology, whatever it is that has been planted in us, maybe through the society, maybe through the environment, maybe psychologically, maybe ideology that makes us to believe that nothing good can come from our land. We have to start to fight that ideology. We have to fight it. It is not even like, we have to get rid of the ideology. No, we have to fight it. It doesn't belong to us. We have to see ourselves as a a chosen people. We have to see ourselves as privileged people. It is a privilege to be black. It is a privilege to be African. It is a privilege to be from Nigeria, a land of milk and honey. Yes. After oil, yes, it seems like oil is drying out in Nigeria. Next thing you know, lithium has been found in Nigeria. This land is the land that keeps on giving. We have to start to see ourselves as that. We have to start to think of ourselves as that. And that is what is going to inspire us to start to build solutions, start to think outside the box, start to create technological schools, start to create science schools that focus on development. What can we produce? How can we have a society that is actually functioning, where we don't have to look to the outside world, always stretching our arm, when we are sitting on the land that keeps on giving? I don't know where this rant came from, today, and I just actually wanted to just say, go out and vote, make a good choice, but don't, put all your hope in the electoral process, thinking that they are going to change everything. It is only Nigerians that can change Nigeria, and it begins from the way we see our country, the way we view our country, how we love our country, how we value our country, the words we speak about our country. It starts from there. So I admonish everybody who might come across this podcast. That is our real civic responsibility, to start to develop a better relationship with our country, to start to present her from her best angle outside to the rest of the world, to do everything that we can to improve our own indigenous industry, to support our own people, to buy our own things, to buy Africa, buy Nigeria. There is a song by Fela. I just had to put this in. I know I said I was going to record this podcast for just 15 minutes. I'm sorry, guys, but I have to talk about this Fela song. It's called Buy Africa, and if you can go and listen to that song. He says, they will tell you that the one that is African is bad. So how is Africa going to grow? If we cannot buy Africa, how will Africa grow? We go outside, we buy their own, supporting their own economies. Then we go outside and we say, oh, their economy is working. Oh, blah, blah, blah. How will it not work? Then we sit in our own side and we say, oh, it's rubbish in Nigeria. Abba, nonsense. This one, oh, rubbish. Nothing good can come from here. Oh, is it made in Nigeria? To fear, God forbid. I cannot patronize it. Oh, is it? I don't want. Bring that one from Italy. Bring that one from London. Bring that one from... I'm not saying there's anything wrong. If you have the money for those ones, go ahead and do it. But my point is that there is a greater message behind those things, which is that money you are spending outside is the same money that you can spend inside to build your own house. It's like you are spending money, you are giving your neighbor money to build his house, or you are giving your neighbor money, and then he's building his house. Then your own house is still on foundation, but you are giving your neighbor money, giving him money. Then you come back to your foundation and you be like, how come my house is not built now? I don't even know if that makes sense, but I mean, that's what a lot of us do when we spend so much supporting, these other other economies, and somehow we just expect that our own economy will just suddenly grow. It is our responsibility, each and every single one of us. Each and every one of us has a role that we can play. We have to start thinking. We have to start thinking out of the box, and we have to start to understand that there is a role for all of us to play. So with this my viewpoints, I'd like to say thank you for listening, and I wish all of you a happy voting and happy 2023, happy electoral process. I hope that this is a stepping stone to actually getting a Nigeria that works for all of us. Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for listening, and I shall see you after Peter Obi wins, by God's grace. Bye, guys.